we can be so caught up in our heads, and we don't know shit. The market will tell us if it's boring or not. Fucking A+ lighting right now. It is February 18th, 2019. It is 1:28 p.m. and I just thought I'd get on camera and talk about something that just happened to me this morning. Things were not going as planned because my iCloud was not working properly, and I guess my reflections from yesterday didn't fully upload in the cloud, so I had to wait for that to upload properly. And then when it was uploaded, I was going to download it from iCloud and then start editing it. So that wasn't ready, so I was like, okay, let's work on Moxey Energetics real quick. Got some tasks done on that, and then headed into, I just decided to throw down some pseudocode, which is outlining exactly what goes on in a given function or app or feature or whatever. So I threw down some pseudocode on this clock app, okay? It's not even an app, it's just it's like a page or whatever, right? But you've seen this, and I'll put it up right here if you're watching. So this type of thing, this costs like $600. This is a physical clock, okay? And I've, for the longest time, thought they were so cool. I even had one on my dream board, I think, back in the day. And I love them. They look so sleek. They're simple, clean as hell. I love the design, and it's just a cool way of telling the time. Love it, okay? So I was like, fuck that. I don't want to pay $600 though. I think I'd rather have something like this on my desktop or like on my phone or whatever as a background, or if I'm just leaving it there. So that was kind of like the main use case, and I also just wanted to do it because it seemed fun. And sometimes you've got to reward yourself, and I rationalized it by rewarding myself for finishing a subliminal run of 6 months without missing a day yesterday. So yeah, that was my almost like reward. I'm like, okay, I can play a little bit, have fun with this. And I did just that. I decided to not only pseudocode the whole thing, I ended up implementing all the logic and all the code. And it wasn't the most complicated thing ever. It's quite simple actually, but it brought me a lot of joy. And I think it's really important to take time to work on things that are itching at you, that are going to bring you that satisfaction that something like creating gives, and whatever that passion is. It's just like, I don't know, life, man. It's meant to be lived and enjoyed, and I think it's really crucial to make time for that which makes us the most happy. So anyways, getting back to this though, I decided that after I was done, I was so amped. I was like, this is the coolest thing. I showed Taylor, I showed Mom, and I'm like, okay, I think I should consider sharing to social. And I had resistance to it. I was like, oh, do I? Because I don't really share coding stuff on social, mostly because I don't want to kind of like reassociate myself with coding, because I'm moving on from that. It's now just like a side project for me. That's a side passion that's fun for me to do. And yeah, so I ended up just saying, fuck it. I was like, my passion is way too strong for this. I just want to show what I worked on and what I actually did. And I was like, also part of me was like scared it was gonna be boring because it's code, but I quickly learned that if people are not seeing the code aspect of things, but they're instead seeing the visual, like what's actually happening, what I'm trying to get at is things like UI, okay? I don't think people give a flying fuck about backend stuff, which is all super technical and like you're not seeing much of anything. But things like UI, I think people can get excited about it because they're seeing the magic happen in front of their eyes. And it's not magic to me anymore because I've seen what goes on behind the scenes. I know how it all works. I say that with a little bit of hesitation because I don't know how everything works. I just know the basics, and I can do a lot with the basics. So anyways, let's move on from that rather. But so I posted it to my story, and I got a lot of positive feedback, and people really liked it. It was really cool. I got some messages about like wow and what the fuck, and it was really cool. So the point of what I'm trying to share here is, now that occurred, I am now more likely to share things that are quote unquote boring, because that's my subjective limitation. That's my subjective POV. Like, who the fuck am I to say something's boring or not? I think we all have these things that we're really excited about. And I think that's why people are liking it. I'm passionate about it. It's two things. I'm passionate about it, and they can see what I've created. They can see what I'm working on. It's like, it's interesting. And on surface value, it would not seem that way to me, because I'm like, okay, this is something that is pretty fucking simple to build. It's not the most complicated thing ever. I'm much more interested in seeing that really complex thing, because I've seen so much of the basics. But for people who aren't used to that, it's like really cool to see what's going on the internet and see these cool type of things. Anyways, a really key thing though is like, from here on in, I am more likely to share things that I might think are boring, because the behavior has been reinforced with positive reinforcement. There's like a great quote that I'm paraphrasing right here, but it's, behavior that is immediately gratified will be repeated, because we're creatures of seeking pain. We are creatures of seeking pain, not seeking pain. What am I saying? We are creatures of seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Okay, so when we learn that something causes pain, we try to avoid it. That can be very problematic at times, by the way, just to throw that in there. And same thing with the pleasure. If we find things that give us pleasure, we can just start to seek them out. And but in this case, I think it's a very positive thing, because it's about sharing what I've worked on, what I've created. And it's for sure just like a vulnerable thing, because I don't know, I just feel like question if people actually give a shit sometimes. And again, that's just me being too in my head and forgetting that the right people care. Like, the right people will give a shit. The right people will find what you find interesting and what you're passionate about. They will feel similarly. They will feel passionate about it as well. Plus, it's like transferable, the passion. I was like super excited in my story, and I'm sure that had an effect on things and got people to stay around a little bit longer and actually see what I was talking about and all that jazz. So anyways, I want to inspire you to share more of what you think might be boring, and just be more real on social and document your journey, because we can be so caught up in our heads and we don't know shit. The market will tell us if it's boring or not. But and if it is, it might be boring to certain people, and it might be exciting to your niche. There's so many variables that make this more complex, but overall, I think the ultimate takeaway here is do what the fuck you want to do, share what the fuck you're passionate about, and the right people will appreciate it. Anyways, my name is Josh Moxey, and I will catch you later.